Bob writes about it. Jim talks about it. But Chuck did something about it.
Foreman on a big hole across the 10. He's something else. He's out in touchdown land. He's something else, baby.
Now, here's longtime columnist Bob Sansevere, Fox 9's Jim Rich, and the great number 44,
Double 4.
Chuck Foreman.
Welcome to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, another legend, the superstar Mike Morris, another legend, Jim Rich from Fox 9. He's the dean of Minnesota sports directors.
You think he ain't?
A legend.
He is.
He is. And a legend in the
don't have
window
enough money to quit yet.
and construction business. Tyler Ganz, the owner of The Window Store. This show brought to you by The Window Store. Now, you guys, I wasn't here last week. You couldn't wait for me to have all that fun. I'm going to do it in 30 seconds or less. You did wide receivers, right? You did defensive linemen, and you did offensive linemen.
Correct.
Wide receivers, and I'm not going to Justin Jefferson. I'll wait till his career's over. Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Anthony Carter. Defensive linemen, I don't think any of you had my last one. Alan Page, your old pal, Chuck.
John Gilliam?
No, for defensive linemen. Carl Eller.
Carl Eller. Yeah.
Carl Eller,
Yeah.
This one will shock all of you. He would have had a Hall of Fame career if not cut short by an injury.
Number
Keith
75.
Keith Millard.
the most dominant defensive lineman I covered. And that obviously covered 3 Hall of Famers from then on. Dolman, right?
Right.
Jared Allen, and, of course, John Randall. But none. I mean, until a couple of years ago, Keith Millard held the record for most sacks by a defensive tackle in the league. And he was the only other defensive player of the year other than Alan Page for the Vikings. So that's a big deal. And then the alignment, I'm going with one of your old buddies. The fact that Chuck wept when he was traded. Ed White, Randall McDaniel, and Gary Zimmerman, who Mike knows both of them real well. Mm-hmm. Now, Jim, what are we going to do today? Which one are you going to go with?
Well, we've got the running backs, we have the quarterbacks, and we have special teams.
Well, that's easy. Mike Morris, Mike Morris, Mike Morris.
That's what his paper said.
Oh, my God.
Let's go with the quarterbacks. I think that would be a very intriguing category.
Well,
with all the Vikings quarterbacks we've had over the years. And this is our rankings of the top 3. And we don't have to, like Chuck, his ballots, he didn't want to go current day. Like, he left Justin Jefferson out of his wide receivers.
I did too.
Because he didn't. He says the resume is not complete yet. So that's how we're approaching.
Okay, here's a question I have. How many years do they have to have played? Is there a restriction or just one great year?
Well,
There was no restriction.
No
restriction.
Yeah, but you can't just have 1 year in.
Yep. So Chuck wants more.
You gotta have.
Well, I
you gotta have.
I got to repick them.
You gotta have credibility, man.
So you got to take Brett Favre out of your list now?
No, because I got a thorn to put in Chuck's side on my list.
Let's hear the. I want to hear.
No, go with Chuck.
Go with Chuck first. All right, counterclockwise. Chuck.
What?
Your
quarterback
list, 2 or
list.
3?
My quarterback?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Backs.
number 1's going to be, you said quarterback.
3.
Okay, Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah. You're deliberating. I see it written down. Now you got to
Tommy
move.
Kramer.
Okay. Thought maybe you move them out.
Tommy Kramer.
And
Warren Moon.
it's a really solid 3. You can't go wrong with that.
But but I don't think 3 is enough though, because we've had some that are just you just pick and choose. Like they bring different things. Like when I watched the Vikings back in the day, Joe Cap, he was the leader of the team, and he was pretty much the face of the franchise. To be quite honest with you,
yeah.
And then and so.
What did you like about Warren Moon?
I thought that his, first of all, he was smart. I thought he made a lot of great decisions. He had escapability when needed. I thought he took the team to some good places.
He had to have a good career overall, but even here, the numbers he put up,
Even
nobody's
though it was
thrown
the tail end of his career here. He still was.
He was still doing what he did.
You take the CFL and the NFL, nobody touches his yardage.
And to be quite honest with you, when he came out of college, he should have been the number 1 quarterback taken.
He should have never had to go to the CFL.
He should have never had to go to the CFL. You remember back in the
I know.
Yep.
They did not like.
middle linebackers and quarterbacks they had, well, unfortunately, they didn't think.
They thought
Just say it. They didn't think they were smart enough, which was absurd.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Well, but that's
what
what
thing
they
I
was.
like about those Jersey boys, boy. They tell it just like
Bingo. Bingo.
It's no joke.
I could have said they didn't like guys with curly hair, but that's not like. Do you remember Al Davis? He would never draft a redheaded quarterback,
Right.
Because he thought they were stupid.
Wasn't Stabler? I don't know.
No, he was blonde, I think.
I guess maybe not.
All right, Star, what do you got on the QB list?
I've got a couple on there that Chuck Foreman had. Fran Tarkenton, who no question should be on this, and 4 Super Bowls and
3.
the rest
Three.
is
Three
that's
Super-
right. Joe Kapp was the first one. That's right.
Right.
Randall Cunningham, who I played with,
Okay.
who was just an incredible talent and like one of the greatest
Right.
athletes I think I've seen at quarterback.
Right.
He was a great athlete. And then I had Warren Moon, because Warren Moon threw maybe one of the prettiest footballs I've ever seen. An incredible seam route that he could throw that was just spot on. It was pretty to watch in practice even. But he also did dumbbell benches with 145 pounds. Ooh. And I thought he's good enough to be on this list for me. Because he does incline dumbbell bench with 145s for like sets of 4. That's damn near 300 pounds.
Well, you know,
He was a stud.
I guess that didn't impress you though, because you know you pumped that iron in.
Well, I mean that was just that's tinker
Of course,
toys.
Tyler, you
me.
look like you've been pumping it too. So
I'm telling you. But Warren was great, and he did. He played like 10 years in the CFL, out of Washington. Should have easily been a first-round selection into the NFL, and it didn't happen, and for all the stupid ass reasons.
yeah.
But anyway, but that's who I had. So there you go, Warren Moon at the bottom there.
Tyler, now you were going to upset Chuck with what?
So I've
You didn't
got
put Tark on it.
2 out of the 3 right there with you. I mean, Fran Tarkenton, he stands the test of generational gap. Like, I never watched him play, right? But I know and give him respect. He's my number 1, right?
Oh, all right. Then.
All right.
My number 2 is Warren Moon as well, because that's who I watched as my early days watching. I'm the fan here, remember? So I'm the one watching him as a kid, just chucking as far as he can to Moss down the field. Like, it was just fun to see. And my number 3 is because when he wins the Super Bowl this year, he'll be the only quarterback in Minnesota history to win a Super Bowl, and that's J.J. McCarthy. Just one.
Oh, my God, you are such a fan.
Guy hasn't even played it down yet.
Man,
And I don't think
He hasn't even played it down.
And I don't think Moon chucked the ball to Moss. He preceded Randy Moss, did he not?
yeah, Moss
Chris
was there,
Carter?
yeah, but it was
Chris
Chris
Carter,
Carter and
Chris
Jake
Carter.
Reed.
Chris Carter, Jake Reed, yeah,
I mean, he had some good receivers.
He has some great
Good ones.
I just remember him throwing that ball. Man, it was just fun to watch.
He could launch it, and
Just launch it.
He was strong arm, and he was smart. He could put it anywhere. He could throw any pass, and I think he went to out of the 4 years that he played here. I think he went to the Pro Bowl all 4 years. So
I'm just saying, for how many conversations Chuck and I have gone back and forth over on this radio show about JJ, we just got to give him a shot. Come on, guys.
Wait, I'm not saying he's going to get a shot. I'm saying the guy's not ready.
Well,
and
you know what?
he hasn't shown me. He didn't show me anything in college that told me he was ready. To
now,
be quite
Chuck-
honest with you.
Chuck, now, in fairness to Tyler, he did have a really good quarter of an exhibition game before he got hurt.
Yeah.
So-
And a fantastic high school career.
And I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying he won't be.
yep.
I'm just saying, okay, how many quarterbacks have you seen ruined because they put him out there too soon?
Many.
a lot.
He doesn't have to be out there too soon.
And Tom
that's
Brady
what I'm
didn't get
saying.
in until Bledsoe got knocked out.
Well,
I mean, he wasn't going to
Well,
start.
he wasn't going to start. But I'm just saying, what's the rush?
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, I don't like the guy they signed, the Sam Howell guy. I don't like that as a guy that you could rely on, not unless they got something else in mind.
Exactly. So that still, to me, everybody goes, "Oh, that's the end of Rodgers." When you
I'm
brought
not
in
sure.
Sam Howell,
I'm not sure.
I think he's not even.
I like
close.
Sam Howell. He would have been a star in the 70s, 80s when you could have the same amount of interceptions as touchdowns.
Yes. What were you
I-
more proud of? The
I do-
56 sacks he has taken?
That's
or
not
the
his
21
fault.
interceptions.
You know what? I think with you got the quarterback whisperer, the greatest quarterback
If you
coach
got-
ever, working with him.
If you got a
He's got
guy
an
that-
arm.
If you got a guy that's been sacked 56 times,
It ain't him.
he got a horrible offensive line. We should know that.
And he's playing on crutches. And he can't run. I mean, apparently not. But it's the offensive line. If you, it leaks like a sieve, you're going to be on your back all day.
Right.
You guys always ask me to be on this show as a fan, right? So the definition of a fan is you have to have faith, and the definition of faith is believing in things you can't see, right? Like it's not. You have to believe
All right,
it's
you know
going to
what?
happen.
You've been on long enough. We're elevating you to a media person. So who you swapping out JJ for?
I get a chance to switch.
Yeah, go right on.
Who would you put in that third slot if not for JJ?
Well, we'll give you a 4.
Yeah.
We'll give you 1, 2, 3. We'll leave JJ 3.
But how
Who's
you-
4?
I mean, I think you got to go Brett Favre after that because of how close he got to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Brett Favre,
And then
he
what
did
happened in the
it.
NFC Championship game? Was it us, any of the other Viking players, or Brett Favre that missed it?
I think it would be Brett Favre.
I would too. I would too. But I agree with you. That was an incredible year, though.
Great year.
That was
So
an
much
incredible
fun.
year. That was an incredible.
I don't blame Favre for them losing the
No.
championship game.
I
I
don't
blame
either.
the running backs coach who couldn't
12,
count.
12 guys on the
Sent
field.
12 guys out.
Yeah.
That was a problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And wasn't it, the most amazing thing about Adrian Peterson, when you shake his hand, some people might have broken bones. Yet he couldn't hold on to a football in a key situation.
Thank you for saying
How does that not happen?
Only thing I'm going to say is that's the play that
Yep.
killed
Let's go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say
I
it.
mean, that's just it.
And
You're
it
right.
Killed him against the Seattle Seahawks, too, at the Gopher Stadium.
Exactly.
When the biggest
So,
moment was his to own, he didn't do it. He fumbled it. And I'm telling you, that's when the big time players step up and want the ball and get you what you need and on with the next game, the Super Bowl. But it didn't happen. And he was more known for that than what he was a really great ground gainer.
Yeah,
He
first
picked
and
up a lot of
second-
yardage. He picked up
First and
tons of yards. He couldn't even stand on
First
third
and
down.
second down, he was great.
Yeah. And then he
So
couldn't
it's-
block for
He wasn't in there
pass
on
protection.
third down.
Yeah, he wasn't in.
So that took away from his game. He probably could have had 16,000 yards.
He would have.
You know
Too
what? We
bad the
need
Vikings
to.
if he
didn't
was a
think of
threat as a
Deflategate.
receiver.
What's that?
Too bad the Vikings didn't think of Deflategate before New England, because then maybe he could have held onto the wall.
Oh, there you go.
Just crushed
Do
it
you
in
want
his
to?
face.
Do you want to whip through your 3 and I'll whip through mine, or should we take that to the next segment? Because we have to. We got a lot of business to do too.
All right, do the business.
All right. Well, I mean, we got.
Well, you
this,
can do your quarterbacks,
this
whatever you want
business.
to do.
Okay, I'm going to do mine quick. Tarkin thinks you can't argue with you. For a while, he held a record for most receptions, but I'm actually going with the one-year wonders because I covered this team and I was at virtually every game for 30 years. The 2 most impressive performances were Randall Cunningham in '98 and Brett Favre in whatever it is, 2010 or
09.
09. It was phenomenal to watch those 2 guys sling the ball, and it was so much fun. I mean, Favre turned Sidney Rice into like an all-pro receiver.
He sure did.
Yep.
I mean, and
And
that
what
was
happened
it.
to him after
He went to
that?
Seattle
That is a
and
great
was
point.
okay.
Fizzled out.
All right, now how about you? You want to throw your 3 in?
No, let's do the business.
Well, this business can wait a little bit later. We got to get here for the window store. What do you got
That's
cooking?
true. That's way more important. What do we got? Not cooking. What do we do at Windows? What do we got washing at the window store?
Washing at the window store. Yeah, I like that. Right now, until the end of the month, we've done, well, it's the end of the month is tomorrow, but for the next 2 weeks, what we've rolled out is an extra 10% off our normal fair and honest pricing. So just a spring sale after Easter. The Easter eggs are done and gone now. It's time to want something new and special. So we already give you an everyday low price. We're going to take an additional 10% off of that going forward for the next 2 weeks. Again, just trying to keep guys busy, and I want to keep sales coming in so we keep food on the table for all of our guys here at Minnesota Grown Company. All of our products that we can physically buy are manufactured here in Minnesota.
All right, and tell them what number or what website.
Oh, God, yeah. WindowsStoreInc.com. WindowsStoreInc.com. Schedule a free consultation today. We'll come out and really help you through your projects.
And if you want to call and say, come on, J.J. McCarthy, really? Is there a number they should call to get at you?
It's on the website.
All right, to find
It's
it on the website, we're going to take a quick break. The JimBob Sports Jam. Be right back. We are back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree brought to you by the Window Store. And I'll tell you what, we got a guy you're not brought to us by just one. Well, how many stores? 7? 4? I forget the Polices.
4. Yeah,
Four.
if we're talking about
Should be
the
7.
Pleachies Ace Hardware store, we got 4 of those to go to. Don't be a bumbling moron numbskull like me and try and go in and try to pick out paint or power tools, for God's sakes. Step into any of the 4, Zumbrota, Farmington, Rosemount, and Egan. Make sure you do that. ask for one of the Pleachy people to ask you out so you don't walk around aimlessly like I do most of the day, by the way. But just do that. Do that, and you'll have all your problems taken care of the easy way instead of doing everything the hard way like me, okay? And tell them the Superstar Mike Morris sent you. The Pleachies have been in business for 30 years. They can get it done for you. So do it that way.
And you're probably going to buy a lot of stuff, so it's nice to have a nice roomy truck or even a nice roomy car. And do you know someplace one could get one of those or more?
I do. You don't have to have a ride all ready to trade. You can walk down. You can walk down there or hitch a ride down there. Put a big thumb up in the air and just walk on down there with somebody else, have them drop you off, okay? At Dodge of Burnsville. And then you can make a decision there. You can go with a car or a truck or a big station wagon or something that you can put some boards in, if you need to build your deck. But right now, let's just talk truck or cars. They have plenty of those, new or used. Step in there, say hi to Mark or Adam Saba. After you buy it, you're going to be in great shape service department-wise. They'll take good care of it for you after you buy it. But get down there. They've got everything. The big inventory is on the lot already. Pick one. Walk out of there happy. Tell them Superstar Mike Moore sent you down there. 35W and Cliff Road, by the way, in Burnsville.
All right. Now, Jim, what are we going to now? What position?
I think we should hit the running backs. I think that's what Chuck is going to go last because.
Well, I'm going to go first.
Yes, it's your show.
I'm going to put number one as me. Now let me tell you how I came up with that.
Oh, geez, I wonder.
Okay, let me tell you how I came up with that, so everybody doesn't know I'm got a big head or anything. Okay, number of years played, accomplishments within those years. Okay, where was the team when I got here? Where'd they go? Where was the team before I got here? Where did it go when I got here? How soon it went to where it went when I got here? And what happened after I left?
All right, Chuck, I got it. You know what's funny about this? He thinks he has to justify him putting himself as number one.
No, I'm just saying. Just so people don't think it's like, okay, because there's a difference. Having a lot of yards is great, but what happened with those yards? You got a lot of yards. Where'd you go?
Chuck, you were one of the, if not the most versatile running back in NFL history. You had more career catches than Hall of Famer Lynn Swann.
Right.
And he played a year longer than you did.
Yeah.
You were prolific as a receiver and a runner.
Right.
So, and also, how many touchdowns was that one year? 20 what?
22, I think.
And you would have had another one. You'd get hit by a snowball.
Yeah,
another 1 or 2.
Yeah,
14 games, but I'm just saying.
In 14 games.
I just wanted to explain how I came up with it. I had a process.
No,
you don't need to justify.
And you changed that position. The way the Vikings used you as a receiver.
Right, the runner receiver. We were the first to do that. Jerry Burns was the one that, and give Bud some credit too, but Jerry, they came up with that because of the things that I could do. So they used everything that I could do. So we created it, but San Francisco gets credit for it.
Yeah, for the West Coast offense.
Because they gave it a name.
They gave it a name, and we used to just call it the Purple Offense.
All right, who are your other two after you?
Who are the distant second?
No. I got Adrian Peterson and Robert Smith.
You know what? That's the list I would go with.
I got Adrian and Robert. Robert didn't. He quit on his own. What did he get? 7, 8? How many years did he get in?
He retired.
I got 6. Yeah. I got 6 years. 7
He just walked away.
He just walked away.
But he was closest to you of the running backs they've had, right? In terms of being a runner and a receiver.
Yeah, I would say. Well,
close to it.
Yeah, close.
Did he catch a lot, Star?
No, he didn't catch a lot.
He didn't catch a lot.
I thought he had, but I think he could catch, and I don't know why they didn't use him.
He could catch, but I mean, we just had so many things out there on the field that could catch. I mean, it didn't have to be Robert Smith, but but he was known for that big long arc out to the outside and hitting the sideline and beating someone to the corner and then just floating down the side. He was fast. He was really super fast, and it didn't look like he was running like that. It was very much like Randy Moss, just this effortless stride, and he was just burning. And I remember seeing him race Randall McDaniel, who was incredibly fast and would finish in like a 40, 50-yard dash with Robert every day until Randy caught on to what they were doing every day. And he picked up his helmet and didn't put it on. They'd slap their helmet on and run. It'd be a sprint to the end zone. And Randy would be running with his helmet in his hand and laughing at him going past him.
Probably backwards.
And he just carrying his helmet. That's hard to do. Anyway, that's why they put theirs on, so they could run faster. Anyway, Randy was smiling.
He looked like he could have been a world-class 200-meter
Oh,
runner.
I think
easily.
he could have easily done that.
Yeah. All right, who do you got? Chuck at the top too.
I got Chuck Foreman at the top. He transcended the position. He evolved that spot into the well-rounded running back that we now have more often than there ever was before he got into the league. I mean, he was the starter of that whole thing. And West Coast offense, no way, did not work that way. He said it already. That was put in place with the safety valve outlet passes that the Vikings had, and Chuck Foreman was at the end of that every time. Maybe Brent McClanahan a little bit, but not. It was Chuck Foreman. So that's said and done. And he was one of my favorite ball players growing up. Dave Osborne would be second because I feel like there should be some blood and guts on this list because that's how the running game was before Chuck got here. Throughout the league is just 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Jim Taylor football, 101.
I agree with that.
And I just feel like the position should be respected that way. It was made up of blood and guts. That's all there is to it. Robert Smith I have on this because I can't put Adrian on this list because he was a detriment at times. He was a really good running back that fumbled when he shouldn't have fumbled, and it hurt us. It hurt this team.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and I just can't do it. He couldn't catch. He had bricks for hands outside of having a really good grip. He had all clad hands like skillets. And when he tried to catch a ball, you could hear it go ding. That's what it would do, and it would bounce off. And then we'd be trying to send him off the field. Here comes third down. He can't block. He can't pass pro. He couldn't. Was
he physically not able to, or did he not know?
No, he was bigger than all the great outdoors. But he couldn't block. He couldn't block. No, he just didn't know who to get, number one, and how to get him. I mean, you can know which linebacker to take, but now do you know how to get him when you are in front of him? No. Whiff.
All right.
Okay, done. I'm done with that.
Tyler.
All right.
Robert Smith. That's my third.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I already talked about him.
Tyler.
I've got Chuck at the top of my list as well. Was it 2 seasons in a row that you led the league in reception yards and receiving yards? Was it 2 years? Come on. That's ridiculous. And weren't you playing against O.J. Simpson to see who was going to get the most touchdowns when you got pulled out from the snowball?
Yeah.
From the snowball. You should have beat O.J. because someone in the stands threw a snowball in your eye. Anyway. I think, and also, I guess, just being here, getting to know you, your character, the person that you are, you'll always be number one.
Oh, wow.
Who's number 2?
Adrian Peterson is on my list. He was a childhood hero of mine. And then I get he fumbled a lot. He broke my heart as well.
Did you bail him out this week?
I was going to say, is he still in town? I'm not sure.
Maybe here under his. I don't know
if he can get raise the bail.
My third, because I met this man a couple of times and hung out. I always thought he was kind and very nice. Dalvin Cook. I thought he was
he's a good one too.
Oh yeah,
really great guy all around.
All right.
Great player.
Jim, you're up.
My 3.
Go ahead, Bob.
I already gave mine. I'm going to stick with Chuck's. I'd like there's other guys, that I would give, but I have no problem with the list that Chuck had. So you're up.
No, I didn't do any because I wanted to give all this time to these guys.
Oh, my God.
So why?
Generous.
Because
they give us your list. You can put it together. You've seen every player.
Well, it's been mentioned.
Going back to Hugh McElhaney.
Everybody hit them all. I just what was it about? I want to know why you think Robert Smith is the third best. What was it about Robert that stood out to you? Because you've seen everybody, right? You go back to the Dave Osborne days, the Oscar Reed, the Bill Browns. What was it about Robert that stood out to you?
He showed me enough in those few years that he played that he had some exceptional talent. He could, had that breakaway speed. He did get the tough yards when he had to. He wasn't that big of a guy. I thought if they could have used him more in the passing game, but they didn't. But how they did showcase him, I thought he did a really, really good job.
And you liked his approach to the game, the position.
He would block if he had to. You know what I mean? But I guess one of the things is that we really never saw him finish. Where it could have gone.
But he had like 6,800 yards, didn't he?
Because he walked away. Yeah, he had
68-18, averaged almost 5 yards a carry, 32 rushing, 6 receiving. He did have 178 receptions in his career, which is not shabby.
No.
Yeah. Not bad at all.
But he walked away at 28?
Yeah,
really young, and you know what? It was because he told me that it was because he was tired of having off-season surgery every year. He'd get something done, or another ankle, or another. He had a knee once or twice, and he just, he just said enough's enough.
Well, and he had deer legs. Right?
He did. He did. Really
giant
long.
legs, and so his body could never really get down low enough. He'd always take those hits.
Yeah,
I think if they didn't have Randy Moss and Carter on those teams, and Jake certainly for a while, that he would have got more receptions. You didn't need to toss it to your running back.
Yeah.
All right. We need to take another quick break.
Special teams is still to come.
That's coming next. The JimBob Sports Jamboree. Be right back. We are back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree, and I'll tell you what, May 3rd, if you would like to meet the Vikings legend Chuck Foreman at Tailgate Spices booth over at Reed's, May 3rd, 2 to 4 o'clock in Little Falls, Minnesota. Check them out. It's a meet and greet with Chuck at Reed's Gun Fair. Get yourself a gun.
There's a lot of shooting going on there.
I think I might.
He's a busy guy. After he signs all those paperwork, he can head over. He's going to have exclusive memorabilia, autographs, pictures. Chuck on May 3rd, 4:30 to 7 at Walmart. And that's also the one in Little Falls. So you'll be staying close to there.
Right.
And then on May 3rd, 11 to 8, you can meet Stu Voigt. He's going to be at the Tailgate Spices booth over the Shakopee Truck Festival. And Chuck Foreman, May 9th, 4 to 6, Cottage Grove, Minnesota, the Tailgate Spices booth, sampling autographs, pictures. And you will be at the High V in Cottage Grove. And all right, this is going to be easy and fast. Best special teams players. Are you including kickers in this and punters?
Yes, anybody that played special teams.
All right.
Except for a long snap.
We got to move here.
All right, Tyler.
that's funny. That's funny.
Well, let's start with the guy who knows.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, let's go with the expert.
I know that if you're putting a long snapper
Superstar.
on this list, you got it wrong. Okay, there are 3 that I have that came to mind really quick. I always go with the hitmen because they show up all the time on the ball, and that they do the dirty work when special teams were dirty. I mean, filthy. Okay, Chris Walsh was one of the best at that. He was one of the best at that, and I'm going to stick with that. And then there's just these people that are so incredibly gifted with stopping and starting on a dime and turning and making tens of thousands of people miss them. David Palmer is absolutely on my list of all-time great special team players. He was exceptional. He had great hands. He never fumbled a punt, I swear, and he could just make anyone standing right in front of him miss. And he could start, and he'd be at full speed in one step. I could never believe that guy. If you think that the game with Randy Moss against Dallas on Thanksgiving Day was great when he had the 3 receptions, 3 touchdowns, David Palmer also had a return. Actually, I think he may have had 2 punt returns in that game for scores. One got called back, but he got one that counted. So he's on that list with Chris Walsh. And then I'm going to throw a punter in there, too. And I'm going to go with Greg Coleman, who was, I think, one of the most consistent punters I've ever seen punt for average or otherwise. But putting it out inside the 20-yard line, the coffin corner, his nickname was Touch because he had great touch on putting the ball out of bounds inside the 20-yard line and making the team, the opponent, start and drive 85 yards, 90 yards every time. And that's a big advantage.
It's a great list. Chuck, can you top it?
Okay, I'm going back to my time. I'm gonna start off with Wendland Hall.
Yeah,
because he was a great cover guy and was always there when a tackle needed to be made. I'm gonna say Nate Allen, simply because he was always making some plays. Bub was always on him for making other kind of plays, but on special teams, he was always making a big play. And then, of course, if you're going to have a punt, if you're going to have a extra point, we're going to have a field goal. You got to have somebody to get the ball to him, right? On a consistent basis. And I'm not saying it because he's here.
So you're going with Anthony DePaula.
I'm going to go with Mike Morris on that one. Simply because of his consistency. And, I mean, really, and probably the first guy to really, because, back in my era, they didn't have what you call real special team players. The center, he was going to hike the ball every down, and even on the punts, even on the that. But then they started to get away from that and have special players. To do that one special thing, and then you had to have a really good one, and we happened to have the best one. That was Mike Morris,
Thank you.
here, and he set the standard, I think. And I'm just not saying that because if you stunk, I would have told you that too.
I know you would have. I know he would have, and I would absolutely agree. He would have told me if I had stunk the place up.
You that too.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Thank you.
Make it quick.
Okay,
You got to get out of here.
I know. I appreciate you guys getting through this. My top three. First of all, my number one is superstar Mike Morris. I think it's just great.
You kids.
You guys, a long snapper to be known as well as you are. It's not just because of your play on the field; it's your play off the field and how you still help this community. So it's a pleasure to be here with you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Second one, Gary Anderson. I know we all hate him for missing, but I mean, come on.
Well, that was the long snapper's fault. If you ask
I will blame it on the long snapper on that play.
I'll take it if it helps anybody.
Yeah. Gary is my second. My third is Cordero Patterson. The way that he took a special teams career into a long-term career as a wide receiver, that's pretty special.
He's still playing.
I agree.
Too.
Yeah, I think he's still playing.
He's still playing.
Still playing.
How about you?
Best ear holer was Chris Walsh.
He was.
Right?
He was. I knew you were going to say it.
That was my favorite
Oh, my
play
God.
when you guys would set people up was the best. He would tell those stories when we'd go out there and interview you guys, and he goes, I was just looking for ear holes. And I was like, what?
And he was.
What are you talking
There
about?
was a rule that came up for what he was doing on the crackback at the wide receiver position. He was blocking for, of course, Moss or Carter, whomever. And he had this thing down to a science because he played special teams. And he would come back and crack back on a guy that was, obviously going to be in pursuit of the receiver who just caught the ball, but Chris was already there and put it right in his ear hole. Same player twice in one game against the Arizona Cardinals. And on the second one, I walked out there because we didn't get enough for the first down, but we had to go out and kick a field goal. And I walked out there, and this kid, I don't know who he hit. His helmet's off. The medical staff is out there with him. He's bleeding from his eye and his ear. I'm like, since when do you bleed from the freaking eye and ear? You have to be hit really ridiculously hard. And I'm just sitting there, I go into the huddle. I said, "You see that guy on the field?" He said, "He was bleeding. Yeah, he was bleeding from his ear, wasn't he?" I said, "It's dripping out of his ear." His brains, he knocked his brains out or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was funny, and it wasn't me. So,
Who else you got on your list?
Oh, that's just the best, though. Well,
that was.
Superstar, of course. I mean, whoever elevated the position, nobody even knew what a long snapper did.
No.
Until he arrived and told everybody what he did.
in fact, it used to be from my era when they say they had to have a long snapper, they would everybody would laugh at it because what do you mean a long snapper? We got one guy that does all the you wasting the spot on the team.
Yep. Then my last one, I'll go with Freddie the Foot.
Oh, there's a good one. There's a good one.
Freddie Cox.
Yeah, he was
straight on
consistent,
kicker,
right.
just back before all the innovations and the soccer guys showed up and the barefoot guys. He just sat there with his toe and
the square foot.
Yes.
You remember the square
and,
shoe?
Yeah, I remember the square toe, and he invented the Nerf football. God, I mean, give him credit for that too. Yeah.
Well, I'm going not because we're all doing it, but Mike Morris. There are people who know a lot more than we do. Said he is the best long snapper there's ever been. So who are we to argue? I mean, he had a great career as a long snapper. And I'm going to do with three guys. I'm going to cover four positions because I'm going to get the best punter the team has seen and the best holder, and that would be your guy, Greg Coleman. He was a terrific holder too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had
was fantastic.
both. And then I've been vacillating here, but I will say, if I could only count those two games in the '87 playoffs, it'd be AC returning the punts.
For sure.
If they had him return every game, he would have been a Hall of Famer.
I agree.
But the one who I will go with, because he played throughout his career, nobody was better as a safety valve than Joey Browner.
Oh.
And Burnsy talked about he always wanted Browner to be the last guy. He never had to make a tackle unless you needed the tackle to be made.
Yeah.
And he did. People remember the Gerald Wilhite.
Oh yeah.
That was
when
brutal.
he yanked him down. But that's what he would do if he had to on special teams. So
that play changed.
yeah, it
Some rules and regulations changed on that one too. Yeah.
And for people that don't know, either you can YouTube it or just think of taking a rug out the back door and shaking it out.
Yeah.
He
did
had
that
a
with his
hold.
neck.
Yes, he had him by the
All right.
scruff of the neck and shook him like a rug.
It was incredible.
And threw him, picked
All
him
right.
up and threw him to the ground. It was unbelievable. You got to look at it.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, that was great. We'll take a quick break, and the JimBob Sports Jamboree will be right back.
On behalf of Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and Fox 9's Jim Rich, I'm Bob Sansevere, and I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our radio partners, KXRA in Alexandria, KRWC in Buffalo, KDHL in Faribault and Owatonna, KDAL and WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, KTOE in Mankato, AM 660 The Bear, WBHR in St. Cloud, and Wild 102 FM in Roseau. Also, KWOA AM FM in Worthington, and KKBJ in Bemidji, and Bob Total Country, serving the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding areas. We'll talk to you later.